Hello, I'm David Owen Hastings, and welcome into my studio. I'm a graphic designer by training, but I've also been a gallery artist and a modern quilter for many years. And I love speaking and teaching all about modern quilts. And this short video is meant to give you a little overview of all the lectures and workshops that I offer. All of these events are available for you to book for your Quilt Guild either as virtual Zoom events or in person. So check it out, give it a listen, and let me know what you think sounds interesting. Let's start out with the lectures. Lectures are about an hour long, and as I said, I can do them either on Zoom or in person, and we include some time for Q&A as well. The first lecture I'll talk about is a brand new one. It's called Backing, Binding, Batting, and Beauty. And this lecture is all about how I have started constructing my quilts, starting from the back, working towards the front. And I do all sort of the planning and the tedious elements first, and then work on the fun part, the beauty, at the end. And quilts seem to come together much quicker with this way of working. The second lecture I'll talk about is 10 modern masterpieces. And this is a lecture that I put together with my good friend Teresa Duryea Wong. And we can deliver it either as a duo or solo presenters. 10 Modern Masterpieces visits 10 quilts we think of as masterpiece quilts. And we'll talk about the criteria we used and also why you can appreciate these particular quilts. We'll include a little flash review of some of the winning quilts from QuiltCon events in the past, and it's a really fun way to get an overview of what's happening with quilting today. The second lecture is called 20 Modern Quilts from Around the World. This is also a lecture I put together with Teresa Duryea Wong, and you can have either us deliver it individually or as a couple. And we will be talking about quilts from beyond North America in this particular lecture. So we looked beyond the borders of North America to find quilters who are doing interesting things, and you'll see some of the new methods and trends that people are using throughout the world of modern quilting. The next lecture is called Exploring Nature with Paper and Stitch. And this is a really personal one for me. It's basically my journey as an artist. I started out working primarily with paper and stitching, and then came to quilting a little bit later in life. And I'll show you lots of great examples and also talk about some ways that you as a creative person can get inspired. The next lecture is really fun. It's almost like a little armchair travel. It's called Indigo Dyeing in Japan, and I will take you with me to explore two modes of dyeing fabric with indigo and the way it's done in Japan. And we'll also look at how I've applied some of that interesting indigo dyeing to my own work, both in paper and fabric. The next lecture is called Minimal Design, Maximum Impact. And this is an overview of minimalism in quilting. And we will not only visit 3 interesting artists who practice sort of minimalist quilts, but we'll also look at some methods that you can use yourselves to develop interesting ideas for both piecing and quilting. The final lecture is called Quilt Labels to Love, and this is almost like a mini workshop in a way. You will get a template for making labels that you can do on your computer, and I'll explain my process of using inkjet printable fabric and different techniques for making labels more integrated into the quilt itself. And I think you'll really enjoy that. So those are the lectures that I provide, and I hope you find something interesting there to entertain you and inform you. I absolutely love teaching workshops, and my workshops are either 6 hours long or 3 hours long, so full day or half day. And I'll go through the longer workshops first, the 6-hour ones. The first one is brand new. It's called Layered Walking Foot Quilting. And for this workshop, I'll give you instructions for preparing a few simple quilt sandwiches in advance, and then I'll take you through my process of layering up stitching using the walking foot and a domestic sewing machine. We will also have a little bit of time to add some big stitch hand quilting for contrast, and I'll show you how to join up the quilted units into a final mini quilt. That's a really fun one. The second workshop, 6 hours, is called Mini Quilt with Texture. This is absolutely brand new, and we'll make a small wall quilt with lots of intense surface design. We're gonna piece in some interesting texture, and we're gonna add some surface embellishment by hand and machine quilting. And I think you'll really enjoy this because the end result is a finished mini quilt that you can hang up at the end of the class. Another workshop that I teach for 6 hours is Indigo Modern. This is one very close to my heart. I absolutely love the blue and white palette, and I'll show you how to work with vintage fabric if you have it from Japan, or contemporary blue and white fabric to make 3 different designs. And you'll choose one to work on during the class, but you'll get information for producing any of the 3 designs. Everyone's gonna look completely different because of the fabric that you choose. So that's Indigo Modern. Next is inspired by architecture, and there's so many great ideas that we can take from architecture, both for piecing and for quilting. And I'll guide you through how to extract those ideas from a photograph of architecture and translate that into a mini quilt. And again, I'll show you how to join up fully quilted units. We're gonna get a lot of practice with some machine quilting in that class too. And hopefully you'll end up with a beautiful finished modern quilt inspired by an architectural photo at the end. Another inspiration workshop that I teach is inspired by art. This one's a little bit more freeform. We're gonna use more improv style techniques to develop a modern quilt, working from a favorite piece of art of yours you're choosing. And I'll show you also my method for doing curved piecing without pins, and it's very freeform and gives you beautiful flat results. So that's inspired by art. And again, everybody looks totally different at the end of the workshop because it's so unique. The next workshop that's 6 hours is actually 2 days, 6 hours each. This one's a little bit longer one. It's called Modern Abstract Quilts. And I'm gonna guide you through a 2-step process. We'll start on the first day stitching some small paper maquettes or studies. And these are gonna help us think about how piecing and quilting come together in a small scale. And then the second day, we'll take some of our favorite designs in paper and translate those into a small fabric quilt, and have plenty of time to explore how the quilting interacts with our piecing in that class. So that's Modern Abstract Quilts. It's a 2-day workshop, can be either online or in person. And then the final 6-hour workshop I have is called Seams Out Quilted Pillow. And this is one of those classes where I kind of broke the rules. I started sewing some fabric together with the right sides together. Sorry, with the wrong sides together. I have to think about that. And it gives a beautiful texture to the surface of the quilt if you include your seam allowances on the front. So we're gonna make a pillow as a project that we can finish in class. And I'll show you this technique for sewing fabric together to include the seams on the front for extra surface design. My 3-hour workshops are a lot of fun. These are half day. We can either do it on Zoom or in person, and I've got several great choices for you. First one is brand new. It's called How to Quilt It Made Modern, and this is a no-sew class. We're gonna work on some templates that I'll provide for you and think about how quilting can enhance design. And we'll look at several different kinds of designs as the base. I like to think of the piecing as almost like a painting. And then we're gonna do a drawing on the surface of that painting to represent our quilting lines. And this will give you a great way to think about the quilting in advance so that it's not left to the very last minute. And also it becomes an integral part of the next quilt that you design. The second 3-hour workshop that I'll talk about is called Composing Modern Quilts from Architecture. And this actually pairs up really well with my Inspired by Architecture class that's longer. but composing modern quilts is focused on composition. And we will look at the overall look of a quilt, how the abstract shapes come together to make interesting designs, and then also we'll spend a bit of time in this workshop on ideas for quilting too. That's a no-sew class as well. The next one's very fun, 3-hour workshop called Mini Mid-Mod Quilts. And in this class, we'll make small compositions, just little tiny ones. We'll piece them quickly with our sewing machine. Then we'll add some beautiful sashiko-inspired hand embellishment and then finish them off as small coasters or small works of art. I'll show you how to frame them up and use them as artwork too. So that's Mini Mid-Mod Quilts. The next is stitched paper collage. This is a 3-hour workshop where we can transform junk mail, found paper, interesting art papers you might have into art by sewing it with our sewing machine. And I'll give you several exercises to create interesting textured compositions in paper using your sewing machine to stitch them together. So that's stitched paper collage. The next 3-hour workshop is called Scraptastic Quilted Cards, and this one is really fun. We can grab a handful of scraps from your scrap bin and transform them into these little beautiful modern compositions that you could either put into a card frame or frame it up for wall art too. And I'll take you through several exercises for quickly generating some interesting compositions just using scraps and a very minimal supply list. And the final 3-hour workshop that I'll talk about is called Visible Mending. And this is borrowing some ideas from all kinds of textile traditions in the world. And we're gonna mend some patchwork for thinking about clothing primarily that you need to mend. And I'll take you through several exercises for adding beauty and texture and surface design to a garment that may have some worn spots. And so Visible Mending is an unplugged workshop. There's no sewing machine required, and it's really quite fun and relaxing. So those are the lectures and workshops that I offer. As I mentioned, they're all available for Quilt Guilds to book, so you can reach out to me through my website. There's a contact form there, and inquire. I have a beautiful multiple page PDF handout that I can send to your programs person that gives more information about each of the lectures and workshops, more details. And so just reach out to me by email and I'll send that to you. You can also click on the individual links that are below this video. Those will take you to the pages of my website that describe each lecture and workshop in a little bit more detail. And you can learn more on my site. So please reach out to me to book. You can also visit my calendar on my website to see when I might be available. And I also list events where I'm teaching for other guilds and at open enrollment events like quilt shows. So perhaps you'll find either a guild-sponsored lecture or workshop or a quilt event that you'd like to attend and take a workshop with me that way. So again, I'm David Owen Hastings. You can visit my website, davidowenhastings.com, to learn more. And also I encourage you to follow me on Instagram. That's where I share a lot of my day-to-day process and what I'm up to, and you'll get more of a taste for what I'm like as a teacher. So I hope to work with you in the near future.